Ladies and gentlemen, tensions are high over in Texas for the EGF High School National Championship Sunday. It's myself, Sir Pegasus, joined by Q for these final series of action.
I am excited to get down to it. I got to tune into a little bit of the Valorant action that was going on in the building yesterday. I tried to tune into a little bit of the Rocket League at the end of the day. Granted, I only got to catch a small little bit of it, but I'm excited to be over here with you. I am excited to be able to crown a champion. This is what Scholastic Esports is all about. It's the end of the semester. It's time to crown a champ.
And well, finals has been the word that we've used aplenty. We're going to be using it a lot more for the remaining broadcast. We're going to be covering the winners' finals, the loser finals, and of course, the grand finals at the very end. And Palm Beach, the Rams are no strangers to being on stream and on LAN because we actually covered both of their series that they played last night. A 3-0 victory followed by a 3-1 against the first seed puts them in a very favourable spot over here in the winners' finals, although the Panthers themselves took down the second seed. So it's the underdogs all rising up.
The underdogs both coming in with some momentum for sure, and you wonder who's going to be able to really come out here and continue to build upon that, right? Because I feel like it's always about getting that first win under the belt. You and I cast a lot of Rocket League. We always talk about that feeler out portion, that first like 60 to 90 seconds, but this is still the early part of the tournament. Technically, it's still best of 5, so you really don't have much time to make those adjustments.
No, you really don't. And in those best of 5s, we've seen how that can dictate a game very, very quickly in yesterday's games, especially for the Rams, who, even if they would concede a very early goal, as soon as they got themselves on the score sheet, they were just a team unlocked. They always seem to come in pairs or triples. So when you are looking at the side of Benjamin Franklin, you're just hoping not to let the Rams into the game.
Let's go ahead and get down to it. Only one way to figure out which of these squads will be able to guarantee themselves a spot in the grand finals, and that's the race to 3 wins. You mentioned as far as for the Rams, we've seen them on stream in the past. They'll be over on that blue side of the pitch. Nice little touch off the top of the car to be able to send a shot from right around the midfield line, quickly turning defense into offense, and that's going to be our first goal of the game.
It's an excellent doink to get it started straight into that bottom corner. Light of the World was definitely the star of the show for a lot of yesterday's actions from the Rams. And when I spoke about goals often coming in pairs, I said that specifically for this player, though this time it is Franklin straight off the kickoff, taking it towards that backboard, though Crisp has been able to beat 2 players at once. It's a great save from Light of the World onto the post, but that pressure still continues. You cannot count out Franklin.
Oh, they were able to find it with the second effort, and you saw the third defender started going for the boost. Crisp can't get back to the goal in time, and it's that nice run in the middle of the field from Coop that allows for him to punch it home. That quick response. I know you were talking about goals in pairs from Light of the World, but it is a nice response for the Panthers to tie things up.
And back in the attack, it's Franklin again. That one saved by Trichko. They've been quiet in the game so far, but let's let him off. It's only been 1 minute. EGFH Nationals has gifted us with some high-scoring affairs over here in Rocket League. And with 2 goals so quick of a trot, maybe 3 if they made contact. It looks like that's a pattern to follow.
Pressure that they seem to be applying down on this side, although give credit where credit is due to Franklin. They've been doing a great job as far as in the counter-attack to be able to flip the pitch quick and be able to apply pressure on the net. It will be Trix who finds the save onto this one, and we'll try and exit out of their half, but PCO does a great job of trying to pick the pocket, carrying it towards the net, but will be denied at the goal line.
Caught. Sends it across to Xink. Light of the World does double commit with the second defender. Xink just has 5 target, comes off that post, and it's been the bane of the game so far, but as has Trix Coley as that third defender.
Try and go the opposite way here to the Rams. Caught right around the midfield line. It's been that pressure right there at the midfield that has allowed for the Panthers to be so consistent and relentless towards the net. That third shot will find the back of it here, and that will allow for the Panthers to get their first lead.
And eventually they had to be punished for all these double-up plays. Oftentimes it was on the ball. That one was off the ball straight towards that corner, but he's not a single one. Ended up picking it up regardless. And now that does open up the game to the team that has been on the attack. And we've seen a few resets attempted. And those are all multis. This time it's the multi-touch to double the lead.
Past one and the second defender unable to rise up, and y'all know the rules in Rocket League. Hand down, man down. That does allow for them to extend up to 2, and now the Rams are going to be really onto their back foot. Coop going to look to try and add to their tally as well. That's all you had,
wow.
boy. And the Panthers seem to be going on a run.
And they are yet to lose a game so far at Nationals. Their success here at LAN has been a sweeping victory into the upper grand finals, and the starts that we're seeing so far, 5 goals, but split so heavily towards that orange side.
Almost can't help but imagine the crowd there live in person. Coop, as it's the hat trick there early. The first half is all that's needed. 3 goals already piled on by that young man right there. Coop will be able to find a way to send this one towards the side. Will try to pick it up and go the opposite way, but the Rams doing a great job of keeping the pressure down here on the orange side. Trix will be able to enter right back into the orange half. Looks for the second touch, but it's denied.
Crisp. Back off that corner, 2 players committed high. It's a heavy touch. Would have given them some offense instead. Trix Curley is going to have to go for a very creative dunk. Doesn't end up landing, but Crisp still overlaps off the corner. Isn't able to find an option inside. Just an orange card takes it forward. And we haven't seen a lot of success from the second man press in the past 30. That's something that the Rams are going to have to find very, very soon, because the seconds are dwindling down. And Franklin have been off to such a great start.
Been able to control the ball for a decent chunk of this game, about 60% of the time, and part of that being shown on the scoreboard. Nice pass and finish as well. They're in sync, you might even say, as they've now been able to rise their tally up to 5.
It's a wonderful hit, straight off the ceiling, right into the danger area, and the reaction time was so much better by Sync. Now with 6 goal splits. They've taken that trip down to Texas to play here on LAN. But it might just be interrupted with one to South America if 2 more can be picked up by the Benjamin Franklin side. Vo holds on. Rams, a bit of a get back. That one, Vo, too high off the crossbar. Makes the job very difficult for Crisp to find the target. Now sent back high. Crisp is quicker. Heavier towards that side, though. A bit of physicality helps open up the space. You still would expect a goal there from the Rams, but they've been kept out, and they'll be seeing red for the final 60.
They'll definitely be shaking their heads a little bit after that one, especially if we see the Panthers able to add to their tally on this trip into the blue half. It's Coop up in the sky. Won't be able to get a nose onto it. PCO, though, will be able to push right on forward. Keeps the pressure forward. Sync is able to find the slightest of touches to be able to put this right underneath the crossbar. And it's now 6-1.
Well, we said that the first game, Q, was going to be a feeling out period. It was barely a game for Benjamin Franklin. It was about 30 seconds, and immediately this team had ignited. Rams have still needed a little bit extra. They're going to need more if Sync keeps on scoring goals like that. It's a wondrous way to close out his hat trick. A mechanical player that, at the best of moments, has been unstoppable on his day.
Well, you were wondering if there's a chance to go off to Brazil. Game number 1 is all it took here for this Panthers squad, and they could very well still be looking to add to their tally. It's PCO, 1 touch, looking for the second, and it just can't quite find its way across, but it's still pressure down here on the blue side thanks to this little bit of extra push forward from Coop. That'll be a shot towards target. Bang! That one finds the back of the net, and it's now 8 over for the Franklin side.
It's a great turn to just get that pass in towards Coop. I mistakenly called him co-op earlier in this game, but all of his goals, I believe, have come from an assisted play. This is a team that has been so in sync, and you mentioned his namesake as well earlier. He's closing up on 800 points.
Like everyone getting involved, even though PCO's only found the 1 goal, they've also been able to find themselves the Playmaker medal this game with the 3 assists. It really has been teamwork that has helped make the dream work to get things started here for the Benjamin Franklin squad. Make it 8, how about 9? And let's even line it up one more time and see if we can get up to double digits.
You know how much I love a double-digit scoreline queue. We've seen quite a fair few at another wondrous place we like to cast. But here, in an upper final, it would mean that bit extra, securing yourself as the dominant team out of the 5 that made it here to Nationals. The final seconds dwindle down. It is on that correct area of the pitch if that's what you're looking for. But now the floor is lava. And you see the ball turn to dust, as has the first game hopes for the Rams.
The Panthers don't just flash their fangs. They show that they've got plenty of bite to them. 17 shots on net, able to sink more than half of those. You mentioned they were looking for the double digits, couldn't quite find it, but to be able to put up a score line of 9-1 is quite the tone setter here in this winter bracket final.
I mean, you're just hoping that they're not going to run out of steam anytime soon. So
Yeah.
much energy put into that first game. The mechanics were all attempted as well, but at a very high degree of consistency as well. That's going to be a very tough train to derail. A lot of momentum for Palm Beach to fight against, but this is the national stage. This is your spot at LAN on the line. And you've got to give it your all in these last few games. What have they got to lose after a first game like that?
Yeah, I mean, the good news for the Rams, you lose by 1, you lose by more than 1. It ends up being the same on the actual series score itself. It's still a 1-0 score line. You start now back on that even playing, but I was about to say maybe Light of World can start things off early. You do still have the possession, but it'll eventually be Coop who scoops it up off the backboard, quickly goes the other way, and it doesn't take but 15 seconds for the Panthers to put themselves back in the driver's seat.
It was a lovely bump here as well from Exing just to open up that space. Trix Cody's really, really unfortunate to just have that ball land right on top of his car and towards the back of his net, but it was all a play set up by that dynamic duo on this pitch. And well, if you are hoping for a big start from the Rams, unfortunately, that's already been thwarted.
See if maybe they can find a way to quickly equalize here, at least in this first minute of play. I think what's most important for the Rams is you don't let things get out of hand in this opening half. They showed flashes where it felt like they could hold the line against this Panthers squad, but when they did allow for continued pressure towards their net, eventually because of those double and triple commits that you were talking about, because as we saw them eventually allow those ones get to across the goal line. There is a chance here though now for Coop to not even worry about anyone in the net. You just go for the double tap and there it is. Put that thing on a highlight reel. It's 2-0.
You could make an entire compilation from just this player alone in this series. So many attempts at such a high success rate. He's the star of the show and a player that's looking deserving of a championship title.
2 shots, 2 goals for Coop, and now it's Sink trying to see if they can find one for themselves, and there it is. They're starting off with 3 unanswered, and we're just barely but a minute into game number 2.
And already they are sinking their teeth into this game, have the Panthers.
I see what you did there.
Thank you, thank you. I do it all to impress you, Q. I do it all to impress you.
I love it. I love it. 3 goals here early for the Panthers, and now you do look over to the squad on the blue half of the pitch. I mean, there is time to still be able to bounce back as long as your defense can hold the line. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen one of the prolonged possessions for the Rams. Yeah, the lightness on the scoreboard hurts, but you still want to at least give yourself a shot. Thus far into this game, they haven't found one. Meanwhile, you've had 4 that have found the back of the net, and things are starting to get out of control.
You really start to worry that it's already over at this point with 4 goals scored, but you're only 90 seconds into a 5-minute game. I mean, you look at that mathematically, and that's what I am at university for. You still maintain there is hope here for the Rams, but here, actually on the pitch and in practice, you are still looking for that little bit more. This was the team that yesterday was all about that offensive pressure, all 3 players just sending it towards the ball with confidence. But the Panthers are a team that will shatter that so quickly. It will take a lot of personality for these players to rise up, but that is what these opportunities are made for in Scholastic.
Can't help but wonder the confidence that the Rams came in with too, right? They upsetted the #1 seed yesterday, probably flying high and thought if we take down the top dog, surely even the team that took down #2, we should be able to topple today as well. But everyone's got a game plan until they get punched in the mouth. And you do still have a half to be able to recover here in game #2, but it's got to be quick.
Oh, Coop. It's a quick play forward. A counter vote is eventually blocked, partly at the hands of the orange cars, although there were still defenders available. Crisp is left on his lonesome. The setup once more is great from Sink, and you'll never guess who he's managed to get this ball straight to. Of course, it's Coop.
Coop with yet another hat trick here in game #2, and they continue to run it up over on that Panthers side. They realize that they've got their opponents down. Now it's about being able to keep the foot on the throat and make sure that you set yourself up for success and make sure you punch a ticket into the grand finals, especially thinking that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that this squad wins that lower bracket and run things back. You don't want them coming back up thinking that they even got themselves a chance. You want to make sure that you can give them all you got here in this next 2 minutes in the following game as well.
And well, anyone watching, if you're in Texas or if you're in this Twitch chat as well, we've got to be starting some chants for these players. They surely deserve it by now. It is 2 goals for Sink, already a hat trick for Coop, and we're running down the numbers with PCO with 1 of his own. It has been a full team effort, and for Rams, that has been suffocating on every single chance. But what do you say now if you're the players of Rams Q? Surely this is one where you throw the kitchen sink, you throw the fridge, the microwave, whatever you've got at hand in this third game. You've got truly nothing to lose. And you just want to get those fingers warm in preparation for potentially a lower bracket.
I think the toughest part is this is a team that's used to being the one that's able to dictate the pace out on the field. We saw that in both of their games yesterday's. They're going to have to try and find a way to really hone in on the counterattack, because right now the Panthers are doing a phenomenal job of pressuring their net, and it is really limiting their opportunities. You have to find a way to quickly flip the pitch. It's hard to against a defense that is as disciplined as Franklin, however.
Coley back onto that left corner. Just looking for one at least out of this second game, though for now, the sheets do stay clean on the side of the Panthers. Sink takes it high, beats Crisp off that backboard. You can already see lurking. It's Coop for the reads, and he'll be passing his SATs.
One who's been around Rocket League knows enough that backboard, man, you can feast off that thing once you get the opposition just a little bit out of position, and that's exactly what we saw on the run back of that last replay. 8 goals is what they're at now. Remember, they were at 9 in game #1. They were threatening for double digits, and they could very well find it here, Pegasus.
They very well could. 50 seconds to do that. They are on pace. PCO putting it forward. And Coop has Sink lurking in the area. Curly's got to make sure that he gets an extra touch into this corner still. There are 2 players lurking. That whiff does open up a space for PCO again to bring it towards that backboard. It's another read for Coop. The flip reset won't have a second touch, but Sink from third, from defense to offense, picks up that 9th. And we reach that familiar position yet again. Can they do it?
3 people commit. The ball still finds a way off of the backboard and onto a hood of a Benjamin Franklin player. And it's going to be easy money from that distance. 30 seconds left. Sink should still be able to recover on this. Gets the reset. Can you carry it? Oh, that's disgusting. Somebody needs to make sure my boy Sink takes a shower after that, because that was just filthy.
That pre-flip into the reset is ridiculous. It'd be impressive if it was in free play. It's even more impressive when it's a LAN winners final to make it 10-0 in game 2. This has been an immortal series, and these Rams have been the lambs to the slaughter.
I know they say everything's bigger in Texas. I didn't think that meant that Benjamin Franklin's game was that much bigger on LAN as well. Sink, don't do it to him. Adding another, looks for the triple, can't find it, and zeros on the clock once this ball touches down. it will be official. One more game left, and Benjamin Franklin will indeed punch their ticket to the grand final.
And typically, when you do see games like this where there is 10 goals to nil, you expect that some leaks on the other side, you know, they had to be playing with so much confidence that third man could not have been anywhere else but their opponent's half. But they still had that layer of control that if they lost the ball, they were still prepared for any counter-attacking opportunities. This puts them in unbelievable spots to not only make this grand finals, but to win this grand finals as well. They've already beaten the second seed. They are destroying the team that's off the back of winning the first in convincing fashion. Who is going to be able to compete with the Panthers?
I don't know. It's always about how are you playing on any given, in this case, Sunday for Championship Sunday. But I think one thing that really tells just how strong that this Benjamin Franklin team is playing, when you look at I'm generally not a big fan of looking at the scores of the players, because really what matters is the overall score line, right? But when you have all three players hitting under 200 score for the entirety of the game, remember, you get like 20 points for a clear, 10 for like a center, right? The fact that you haven't been able to find even the quality touches because you're on your back foot, and BFHS has been able to have so much possession, means you haven't really found much to be able to build upon to even find your way out of this hole. So at this point, your best chance is to pray, and let's go ahead and go away here for game number 3. Let's get down and do what it do.
You also get points for the saves as well, and I'd use this as defensive practice in preparation, but Coop, has been such a tough player to defend. We've already seen the sidewall attempt there from Singh, comes off nicely on that back wall. That's a really hard position for Light of the World to make that read, especially when Coop is already front-facing. 6 seconds, 1 goal. I will not be doing the maths.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in, right? I mean, when you think about especially like just the physics of Rocket League, that's a big old net, small little ball, so many options for shots. Singh's gonna try and find one here, but Chris will be able to send it aside. There's still pressure here, however, from Benjamin Franklin. Coop tries to find that one, but it rings off the post.
Sink will clear himself into it, dribbles all the way. A stylish way to make it 2. Is that a stall in the celebration as well? Don't think I didn't notice. Just more examples of the mechanical excellence of these players. And we'll see if he can pull off one of those actually in the game as well.
See the double SSL player titles there for BFHS. We know that they got some gamers over on that side of the pitch, and they have definitely shown that here today as well. We have seen a collective of over 20 goals, and we're not even a minute into game number 3. There's a chance for them to add to the tally here. Sink will look to try and settle it up in the corner. Back pass. Who's that to is the question. It's PCO already up in the sky. Settles it for Coop. Flip reset. Able to look for a second shot. No. Sink's shot will be denied, and it's an open field the opposite way.
And he'll bail away from it. Knows the job is done. Coley coolly looks away and just puts himself straight back into kickoff position. The mentality is there. This is a game still in reach. And well, that's the mentality you have to fight with. You miss every shot you don't take. And if you don't play at your best, you can't expect to beat the best. What have the Rams got in store?
Find a way to build up off of the back of that, that's for sure. Let that be the catalyst for a good comeback here in this winner bracket final. Double reset. PCO settles it down. Coop fires it off of the backboard, and it will be settled now for the Rams to go the opposite way. It's Chris high in the side. Flip reset to settle it down for Light of the World, who will send it to the sidewall. The problem, though, is on the hood of a Benjamin Franklin player. They go the opposite way, but Trix finds the save.
Great double save there. Pass across, though. Not quite going to reach a teammate. You do not want to give space on the wall with boost for Coop, especially when in the center. Sink is waiting, sinks that one away, and it's back to that double lead.
7 shots already for Sink, and we're not even 2 minutes in. It's 12 shots altogether as a squad. Lets you know just how ruthless they're being down on that blue side of the pitch. Sink should try to be able to win this 50. The question is, can you keep the possession? It doesn't look like it is Crisp who will look to take it the opposite way. It's these big booming touches from the Rams, however, that has really not allowed for them to be able to keep possession once they do finally enter into that Panther half. They will try and flip the pitch, and can they keep the possession? Shot from Sink, and that finds its mark as well, and Sink already has the hat trick.
And well, Virgini's granted all 3 wishes. It's a hat-trick from Sink. And just when the Rams looked like they had a little bit of hope of getting themselves in the game, we see again the Franklin side just compose themselves a bit better off the ball, especially in that third man spot, and that's just kept the ball in this blue half consistently. And Palm Beach have been left in a wash. Half a game still to go, 3 goals to pick up, but that offense will never stop from the Franklin side.
They have just been absolutely relentless today, and I'm sure even at the 3-goal lead for now, they're going to look to try and add to that tally in this second half as well. Pass back to PCO, popped on up, looks to center it towards the corner where Sink is at, has a big pad as well. Oh, and he finds a way, some way, somehow to punch it across the goal line.
This is unbelievable from Sink. It's the fundamental rule of Rocket League in defense, Q. You put the ball to the corner, and that's supposed to be safe. Not when Sink is the player in possession. Such a deft first touch. It's a perfect flick so he can follow up off that back wall. And the finish is just a touch of pure class. All 3 defenders there, but one Sink is worth 4.
I think it is important to keep in mind, especially for the Rams over on that blue side of the pitch. Right now, it's not just about trying to build up some semblance of momentum in case you make it back against this Benjamin Franklin squad in the winners bracket or in the grand final. You still have to now rebuild up momentum in this final 100 seconds out here on the pitch before getting sent down to that lower bracket final as well.
You're going to be playing either Da Vinci Rocket Wolves, the 2nd seed, or Stepinac Crusaders, the 1st seed. And PCO adding another goal to the tally. Does not set that up nicely. It's a wonderful flick up to just keep the ball close. Fakes that he's going to go for the immediate shot, and that keeps the defender just towards that goal line so Coop can get the easy clearance off. It is a team that feels like it has an infinite playbook at their disposal.
Yeah.
And all of these players have certainly been doing their revision at the end of this semester.
Even seeing them coming out with the different strategies off of the kickoff as well, really trying to flex their stuff here late in game number 3. Light of the World will be able to find a clear, and nice job as far as with the second effort from Trix to keep the pressure onto the orange half. It is only but for a moment before Sink looks to take it the opposite way, and it's another save here for Trix Collie as well.
Back onto PCO, already shown off some of what the ground game has to offer, though the ball stolen away by another teammate of the defense of Palm Beach. Isn't going to set themselves up nicely. Light of the World, though, still sees through all the chaos, beats one man in the corner, though PCO is doubling up in that position. They back themselves. The fake is good. The ball, though, might just go all the way. Coop's been caught out of position, but it's just wide.
Just a tad bit wide. Still pressure in front of the nets here, and looking for a clear to the side. Here's Coop that'll at least pop it high on up. Unfortunately, doesn't have any boost there to be able to gather it. Actually, kind of a surprising scene here, as there were all 3 players from Benjamin Franklin relatively low. That's something we haven't seen much throughout the course of the series. Nice job to be able to send that high from Chris, but it's Sink who's able to follow it up, and that will allow us to find Brazil once more.
This is incredible. Again, he's just got such a great read of the game. Knows that Coop is just going to send that ball towards the target, and knows the areas he has to cover, the holes he has to fill to make sure that the offense has as high of a success rate as possible. It's our 2nd trip to South America, but most importantly, it's their ticket stamped into the grand finals of Nationals.
Gotta love to be able to do so in such convincing fashion as well. Surely it should allow for them to sit by and watch this lower bracket finals with a nice little bit of confidence, knowing that's either this squad that you were able to feed, or who knows, maybe even that number 2 team that you took down yesterday as well. But you mentioned it. Big congratulations to Benjamin Franklin as the Panthers are able to secure themselves a ticket into that grand finals. We just have to wait and see who they're going to be playing up against here, Pegasus.
Very excited for whatever that upcoming matchup can be, because I want to know, is this just a Panther team that looks close to unstoppable? I mean, 2 sweeps in a row for a trip to the grand finals would certainly prove that case,
Yeah.
but for the Rams, they performed so well yesterday against what was supposed to be the first seed. I want to see if in this lower bracket, we're going to see some of yesterday's feats start to repeat themselves, or some of those higher seeded sides start to prove their mettle and return to that grand final spots.
I guess the good news is maybe if it ends up being a familiar foe, as the Rams do go down to that lower bracket finals, maybe you can use that to kind of get your feet back up under you, right? Unfortunately, this one works out just the way it is, but momentum can be dangerous if you start to ride the wave. So definitely going to be intrigued to see how they bounce back. Sometimes what separates the best from the rest, it's not how you do when things are going good. It's how you respond when you face a little bit of adversity. And speaking of adversity, our next matchup of the day here, because since we are going to that lower bracket final, are teams who have their backs up against the wall. They've already seen a little bit of adversity, and they're going to try and see if they can pick up one last series win to also be joining this Benjamin Franklin High School squad in that grand finals. We appreciate you guys for tuning in with us over here. Make sure you guys stay locked in, because as we mentioned, we got plenty more Rocket League left here on the channel. We'll be back right after this break. I'm surely have benefited them.
But on the other side of the coin, I mean, we speak about how good it is for Palm Beach to have that break. That's because they had no momentum to carry into this series. It was so one-sided in that upper finals. However, now that we look at Stepinac heading into this spot, they are fresh off that last series. That was a Game 4 finish in their favor for a lower bracket run that they killed for Da Vinci Rocket Wolves. Now that they are back into a familiar fight against a foe they face into uppers, that revenge is going to be so sweet to get themselves a grand final spot.
You would love to be able to get that chance. And the lower bracket is always interesting. We talk about it. I thought I muted my mic for that. That's my fault for coughing right in your guys' ear there. But the lower bracket is always an interesting dynamic, because in this fact, right, Stepinac is coming in off of the back of a strong win, a Game 4 win. Palm Beach coming in off of a sweep. So I think Game 1, usually we talk about being that filler out period, not as big of a deal, because you can always pivot your attention to Game 2 if you drop it. I always feel like, though, especially when your back's against the wall and you drop into lowers, this game number 1 for Palm Beach is going to be so crucial here, Pig.
It really is, because it's just shaking off everything that happened in that first series of the day. You want this to be as fresh of a start as possible, and part of that is, of course, reducing the familiarity. You want this to feel like you are playing a completely different game. Yes, you're still there in San Antonio, Texas. Yes, you're still a far way away from home, but so are your opponents, and they've got to have that bit of fear against you now. You already have that bit of a mental advantage as the team that has come from that upper bracket in a journey which has already included taking down this Stepinac side in convincing fashion. But for Stepinac, they're coming here from California. They will be looking for that California. Sorry, from New York, actually. They took down one of the California lot. It's actually the California Gauntlet they are looking to take if they make that ground.
They are looking to take that there. And remember, they came into things as the 1 seed. They got upset, but all that matters, it's not about how you start. It is indeed about how you finish. So let's go ahead and take to the pitch and get down and do what it do. It's game number 1 here between Stepinac and Palm Beach.
Light of the World was the standout player in that series when these two last faced. And there is going to be a lot of eyes on this player specifically to see if they are going to have that same malice against his opponents in the offensive third vote coming out early. Already a shot to face for Stepinac. They are able to clean it up.
It's little C looking to go the other way. It's a pop-up over the backboard. Dat Paper was already there, and Nugget might have gotten caught just a little too far forward. It's a counterattack the opposite way. Luckily, little C can slow things down, and that second effort will allow for them to relieve a bit of that pressure.
Back out to Light of the World. Sees that left wall, but there are 3 blue cards in front. 1 flick will beat 2, but a third going to be 1 too many to handle. A double commit comes up for this challenge. Trixcoli. And they just keep this in the center, but the resources are low for the offense. And that will reset the play back to the center. Still, though, it's allowing any pressure in their own half. And this is a lot more like the Palm Beach we saw last night and that you're getting introduced to now, Q.
Loving it so far. Been able to hold the line really, really well. And I mean, even despite the fact that we've seen some decent possession on the opposite side from Stepinac, they've done a good job of keeping the ball down on this side of the field. 3 shots, you wonder at what point is it going to be enough, though, to break the seal and start to run up the tally on their side of the field. It will be Dat Paper who fields it up in the corner. Trixcoli is already there to keep the pressure for this Stepinac team pinned back in the defensive half.
And a seed 1 faces more chances. This time it's Trixcoli having to lay it off, and they didn't have that forward look, so it just sends the ball into that corner. This time, though, it's looking better for the offensive team to be able to regroup, put themselves in these better positions, and now there is a cap in the net, but they just don't have the pace behind them to capitalize on this instance. So instead, Stepinac, with an option to build up from behind, instead just go for these heavy touches, and that's just going to turn over possession.
About midway through this game number 1, still looking to see who's going to be the team that strikes first. Definitely a different sort of pace than what we had seen as far as in our upper bracket final. More of a defensive game thus far here through the first half. Trixcoli off of the side. Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a second touch on that. No gas in the tank, but it will be Crisp who keeps the pressure forward. Will be 1 touch. Looks to try and find a pinch on the way down, but it's such a big clear back into that Palm Beach half.
But Trix is supported behind, even if this 50 does not land his way. Like the world is beaten, though still remains just shy of that post. Crisp has to attack this ball, hesitates just that extra second, and now Light of the World has to put in that extra effort to get that clearance out. It does end up on the blue back wall, but that is going to be one of those plays that Stepinac are going to miss.
Tough touch there. It doesn't let you get too far out of your zone, and now all of a sudden it is going to be the Rams with the possession. Light of the World up in the sky, but you can't find the touch to put it just inside of the post. It will be Crisp who picks it up. Can't find the second touch to settle it to Trixcoli, who was already in the sky in the middle of the field. That's an awkward touch that will allow for the Crusaders to keep the possession, but that paper shot will be denied.
And Go won't have that second touch, but still made it look like that was going to be the case. That kept all defenders grounded for that moment. But now defense turns to offense. Paper has a read to make off that waterfall. But instead, Coley with the easier touch off the bounce will be able to go for that wall pinch. It sends it right back down deep. 60 seconds left to go. We've seen plenty of high-scoring affairs here in Nationals, but this looks like a game where the next goal could be golden.
Well, they do say offense wins games and defense wins championships. Right now, it seems like the better defense will at least give you a chance to win one. And question, though, is which offense will finally be able to produce. You feel like when you look at the numbers on either side, 50-50, and 1 shot is all it takes. It could very well be the next one. We might not even need an overtime. If you can find a way to punch one here for Stepinac, it's off of the backboard. Dat Paper, second touch, leaves it in the middle, but Zesty Pickle Nuggets shot sails wide.
All 3 players at that front post, and they keep it towards that right-hand side. Paper, though, sees that as too predictable. The 50-50 is going to go off that backboard. Little C has a chance to reset as well. But the dunk's not going to land. The ground heats up. Soon as shall be lava. And if the ball finds the back of the net, that's surely the opener over to Leap. 1 touch was required. It's Light of the World with the epic save, and it slams down for OT.
Overtime for game number 1 in our lower bracket finals. And who's going to be able to be the one to break the seal? Trixcoli here is going to be able to at least break the midfield line. He's going to creep up that side wall and in the corner, and that should allow for the Crusaders to break this pressure and take possession. That paper, one touch towards the corner. It's a pass towards the middle, but Light of the World takes out Little C with a demo, and that allows for the Rams to now flip the pitch.
And you use that word pressure. It's not just an act, it's a feeling. And it's going to be at its greatest here in the lower finals, in overtime, where you come so close to conceding in both areas of the pitch. This just might be the moment. Crisp off the backboard, gets that read, is left undefended. And you spoke about defense winning your championships. You think of the saves they made earlier in this game. The first goal was the decider, and it comes in overtime.
The thing that stands out most to me as we watched back that replay was all three defenders sitting on empty tanks. The two that were kind of left in the middle initially were kind of caught looking the wrong way. Have to whip a quick 180. The last little bit of boost they used was simply in the turn. You can't rise up, and well, that will allow for the Rams from Palm Beach Lakes to take game number one. I do feel like if you're Stepinac, though, I mean, you feel like you're right there. It's like best case scenario in a loss, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was such a close game. It was pushed into OT. I believe that was the same case, I want to say, in game 2 of their last appearance in that upper finals. And that was getting themselves into the game a lot earlier in the series. However, already with that lead established for Palm Beach in that previous meet, it made it so tough for them to build off that close result. Now they've got to double dip here, actually bring this game back into equality. Otherwise, I fear we might see a repeat of that uppers.
Have to get on down into it. Only one way to figure it out exactly, and that's let it play out on the pitch. We saw the players not even want to utilize that full 60 seconds that you are allotted in between games here, because this, which lets me know that the Crusaders feel pretty darn good. They just want to get back out and see if they can find a way to take the lid off of this defense. They had found opportunities. Maybe you can find one here. Yes, indeed. It will be that first goal on the board, and all it took was 38 seconds.
Zesty Pickle Nugget will pick up the first. Tell you what, it might be name of the day.
I love it.
It could be goal of the day for them as well. If this changes their fortunes, it's bled into that second day. But this is still a wound that can be cauterized. Palm Beach off the backboard. The read isn't there for the second. These are the moments you have to pounce.
Just smell blood in the water. You have to find a way to attack, especially when you're coming back from behind. In the series, Lil C keeps the pressure forward. That paper, quick 180, picked up the big pad. Unfortunately, though, a defender is able to get a nose onto it. That will allow for the Rams to flip the pitch. Crisp up in the sky, wins the 50, left off for Light in the World, but a swing and a miss means that ball will be going quickly the opposite way. Trix Collie pops it up. I think should be able to get this past the defender, but can't find the angle onto the net. And for now, with about 90 seconds just about gone by, it's the one lone goal.
And it's back towards that front post. All three players there. You start to worry if there's a back post option, but Pickle Nugget turns around at the perfect time, clears that one to the wider wings, and that gives an opportunity here for Little C to advance the offense of his own. The counter-attacking play is there. They've escaped that press of Palm Beach, a position which they struggled with in that opening game. But now with the lead, a lot of confidence behind them, though Pickle Nugget on the back foot, it could be calamity. But Paper sees their way through the chaos.
Surely a sigh of relief from Stepinac there as that rings just off of the post, but now you have the ability to double it down, especially off the back of the double commit. That Paper needs to quickly send this to the middle of the field. Pickle Nuggets up, but Trix Collie sends it aside. However, nice demo should allow for them to keep the pressure down on this orange half of the pitch. Crisp with a nice pinch. Trix already up the side of the field, looking to try and pre-jump, but unfortunately that touch just a little errant.
And now that sends the ball right towards his final half, and it's going to be all men forward on the side of Stepinac. Crisp has to try and take this ball high, and it does actually manage to break away. It's still in those safe corners. It's up to him now to create that danger, have this ball trickle down. Light of the World is just denied by the faintest of touches. That's what can make all the difference in this physics-based game.
Oh, you gotta be quicker than that, and it's a difference of inches here when you're playing this late in a national championship. That paper unable to win the 50, that ball back towards the middle where Little C waiting in the shadows. A pass towards the middle. Oh, but where's our second Crusader? No one's home, but the net was open.
Zesty Pickle Nugget again. Said his name aplenty. Crisp. But a bit quieter, but he was with yesterday's action. But he'll be glad to claim a goal. But this feels more like a concession than a goal for Palm Beach. That is a brutal defensive play.
It's a tough blunder here as we're getting ready to enter into our final third of play. At least the good news for you, if you are the Crusaders, is you did have the lead. So it's not like that's going to cost you this game, but you now have to find a way to put yourself back out in front. Oh, just over one. Can Light of the World get there?
Ooh.
No! It's a quick second goal, or quick response, I should say, from the Crusaders, and that puts their second on the board. It's 2-1.
And they needed that. As I said before, Palm Beach are a team that are all about momentum. As soon as they pick up that first, you have to shut them down quick. In a 2v1 position, which was definitely one to play the defender out of book, was the perfect opportunity for Stepinac. If they can triple up in this game, that is surely going to be the series put back to equal. Paper has a tough angle. That one's just wide of a mark. Pickle Nugget has found the target, and it's going to be fingertips bruised by the goalkeeper. And a very amused offense off the back of this chance.
Starting to feel a little similar to a Greek tragedy, man. Anything that can happen seems to happen over on that orange half of the pitch. And that has now allowed for the Crusaders to go up by 2. The good news is there is still time, but it has to start with a defensive stop. It will be a clear at least down to the blue half, but it's right onto the hood of Zesty Pickle Nugget. Nice job by Trix Collie to win the 50. It's a back pass. I think was looking for Crisp, but Crisp wasn't quite there. Eventually moves it forward, but it's more time that's been wasted.
Oh, that's a huge mistake again. And there is still time for this scoreline to shift. The front post was given away for free. No one had that coverage. It's 3 players covering the exact same spot, and that's always going to leave holes in that defense.
Costly mistake, but you are still up by 1. If you are the Crusaders, Little C gathers it deep within their territory. Here's Chris, picks it up, and their shot will be just a tad bit wide. Zesty looks for the clear, but Crisp with the wraparound has been able to keep the pressure forward, but eventually a clear does come across. And remember, for the Crusaders, with their lead, all they have to do is play keep away, and Paper chases that one down and finds the save.
Time decreases, heartbeat increases. Both teams on their final life. It's been all upper brackets here on stream, but we will be sending someone home at the end of this series. This feels like a must-win for Stepinac. Still a best of 5. A reverse sweep would surely be too much to ask for. Survival just required for 2 extra seconds, and that hang on 0, just the ground to aim for. That is the game over. This best of 5 turns to 3.
Big response here from Stepinac after what felt like a scrappy game number 1 that unfortunately you just weren't able to come out on top of in that overtime. To be able to pull this one out in regulation nonetheless surely has you at least breathing that sigh of relief. But now this game number 3 becomes so important. Dangerous, it feels like, to give either of these teams 2 chances at series point, and that's exactly what's on the line in this next game.
And I just look at the stats of this last game and noticed the Rams 12 shots compared to the Crusaders 6.
Yeah.
And 6 was enough of them to take that win, but a big stat differential was the 7 saves from the Crusaders compared to only the 1. The 1 coming from Palm Beach. That's what you're doing now. Not sure how I feel about that, Q, but in this next game, definitely going to need to see a little bit more efficiency on that Palm Beach side. Not just in that offense, but certainly in that defense as well.
Sometimes it just fits in too easily. Gotta hit it up when it's available. And now for game number 3, who's going to be able to step up to the plate and really grab the bull by the horns? It's Little C who looks for the clear. Crisp, however, keeps the pressure right around the midfield line. You feel like for the Rams, after suffering defeat in game number 2, you would like to be able to strike first, but I think what's most important is just making sure that you can keep the Crusaders off the board, as they did score a couple unanswered.
Live the world. Picks up that 100 boost. Has little Sivo waiting on that corner. The pinch is good, but no one available at that far post. And it's oftentimes we've seen in these offensive sequences, they're very near post dominated. And when you do have that lack of coverage, if you do get those heavy touches, that just ends up giving away possession. Counter-attacks have definitely been a deciding factor in these series. That's great control coming from Paper, but it's cut quickly by the defense of Palm Beach.
SD Pickle Nugget, 21 gas in the tank. It's enough to at least make a play. We'll send the ball forward. That Paper looks to chase it down off of the opposition's backboard, and the extra effort deep in the corner from Little C will at least allow for them to continue to try and keep this ball moving towards the middle of the field. It's hard to score from that deep corner over there, but eventually it will be the Rams who seize the control. Trix Collie fires a shot on target, but it's sent aside.
Off that back wall, it is a free first touch, but the read off a bounce is good from the defense. Paper needs to get this one to a corner. Even better, finds a teammate there as well. The touches aren't there, but it was enough just to cause that little bit of hesitation from Palm Beach. Now have to reset from their own third. A heavy touch will help them, but there needs to be more touches there. Trix Coley gets himself a domino. Someone's got to finish the job. It's a really tough position to take, but it's not going to make that pain any less strong.
You know me, I'm a big fan of the demos, and I'm loving to see the extra aggression brought from both of our squads here in game number 3. I think it's going to be important, though, that you don't over-aggress and overextend. Leave yourself susceptible, especially if you're the one with the possession. Both teams have shown an ability to flip this pitch quickly, and it'll be Little C who looks to try and maybe do that here. Nice box out by Trix Collie, though, deep in the corner, will delay this initial counterattack. And matter of fact, will allow for the Rams to regain possession. Trix Collie sends it with a nice pass to the middle. Chris bangs it home, and the Rams strike first here with 2:25 left to play.
Gets a demo as well for good measure. That one's just for the mental effect. Coley also picking one up on the corner. And this is what you've got to do at this stage of a competition. You've got to bully your opponents into defeat, especially off the back of one yourself. Over kickoff is promising. It does fall down. But again, it's another play off the goal line that hasn't been read well. That one was, but a shot just was not there.
Double doink has to have you feeling some type of way. Here's another shot, and that one's just wide. Is this net regulation size or what? I'm not sure. They're going to have to read it after this, but Trix Collie is able to make that mistake, takes it the other way, and just like that, the Rams go up by 2.
And it feels like there's a magnet on the woodwork at the Palm Beach net. But on the other side, it is wonderful from Trix Coley to just take the full length of the pitch. Now with 2 minutes. A goal a minute has to be maintained by Stepinac if they even want hopes of pushing this one into overtime. But the momentum continues for Palm Beach. I'd mentioned it multiple times. The sleeping giant has awoken. And some myths, some stories do come true.
Well, that may be Trix's second, or sorry, it might be Crisp's second goal. That is Trix, who still has the 100% goal participation. Wow, that's a weird word. Goal participation here in game number 3. 1 goal, 2 assists, and has really been feeling like they've been leading the charge on the offensive side here for the Rams. Crisp high in the sky, looks for the hat trick, and off of the back of that one there, the hats will hit the pitch.
And for such a long period of this game, it was a complete deadlock. Now in the later minutes, you're starting to see those passes string together. They're so much better at working their way from the corners into the center. And the reads are just a bit quicker. It's hard to get coordinated on those back walls. That's why we've seen Stepinac on a few occasions, including that last goal, have a few of those team bumps start to seep into their game. You've got to make sure not to fall into frustration. This is definitely still a series that is in reach, and who knows, a miracle for this game as well, but those double commits just have to be ironed out.
Right now, Stepinac needs to find a way to really hone in these last 72 seconds. You have to realize, while the chances of coming back down by 5, possible, probable is not. What's most important is you have to start getting some semblance of offense. Right now, you're getting outshot 10-1, and it's not like it's felt like you've been pinned back completely compared to the opposition. You've had looks down the other side of the field. You just haven't found ways to put it on the net.
Zesty Pickle Nugget will still fancy his chances. This final minute, it might not decide this game, but it could decide the series. If he can just pick up a little bit of momentum. You do not want that next game to start with your opponent having that bit of a mental advantage. Little C will start to make those dreams come alive. It's a great strike into that top corner. Made a lot more possible with Paper. Just having that bit of fear factor, the threat of the bump being as valuable as landing it itself.
Just the threat of it being there means the defender has to respect it. You got to worry about 2 things as opposed to 1. And 2 is more than 1. Or something like that. Here we do go with the last 35 seconds into game number 3. And when you talk about for the Rams, who suffered defeat in a very close game number 2, to come out with the boomstick the way that they have here in game number 3 has to have them moving forward with some level of confidence. Let's keep in mind that this Rams squad has found a way to beat these Crusaders before, and now after just another 10 seconds, they'll be just 1 game away from doing just that and getting a shot at redemption in that grand finals as well.
It's game 3 of a possible 5, and I do really want to highlight that word possible. You do believe that if you can get off to a great start in any one of these games, Stepinac can push it that full distance. But it has just been such a great one for the neutral. You've had your close games, you've now had your high scorer, and if anything, that game had that bit of both, because for the first 3 minutes, it was completely neck and neck, but then Palm Beach, like I said before, started to build up that chemistry more and more and more, and I'm starting to see that identity that they gave us from yesterday start to return.
This is good. This is what we were talking about, the potential of what the Rams could do in this lower bracket final, right? Be able to kind of get back to that form that we had seen them on the stage yesterday, and maybe be able to even come back up into that grand finals with a little bit of a extra fight to them. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just quite yet. The Stepinac squad came into the weekend the number 1 seed for a reason, and usually what does help separate the best from the rest is how you overcome adversity. So game number 4 is going to be just that here for the Crusaders.
It is, in the most serious terms, clutch or kick now. Kicked out of the tournament, kicked out of the Nationals. You've gone through this entire journey to San Antonio, Texas for one aim and one aim only. It's to be worth that first seed. It's not to get yourself that podium finish. It's to get yourself to that grand finals and pick up that gold. You need a perfect 10 minutes minimum of Rocket League to make that spot. But Palm Beach have already proven to be the extremely tough hurdle.
I think the important thing here for Stepinac is you don't worry about the tall task of the 10 minutes. You take it 1 game at a time, because you can't necessarily win this series in game number 4, but you can most certainly lose it. They've been able to have a little bit of a prolonged possession here, most of that opening 30 seconds, but unfortunately, no goals as of that opening half. Maybe a chance here now, quickly flipping the script here for that Paper, as it will be Trixcali who picks it up and will try and exit out of their half. Nice pinch on that wall, and maybe there's a chance to make a second play at it with no gas to take from the defender. And while that shot doesn't necessarily go in, that should allow for the Rams to set up, well, I was going to say set up shop, but it ends up not being the case.
And I like the attempt at a mind game as well. Paper does land a demo, but he extra touch. That's send it back towards their half. But speaking about those mind games from earlier that we saw Trixcali pull off, he might go for another. It's the best place to do it when there is so much pressure and you just want to play off instinct. That can change the course of a game. It's 3 players in that front post I spoke about earlier, why that's an issue. But Paper has done well with it to take it as far away from a danger as possible.
The idea moving this ball towards the middle. Unfortunately, no other Palm Beach Lakes players are there. However, still a shot developed here from Chris from a distance. And where are the defenders? I'm not sure. There's nobody in net. Chris is able to capitalize.
It is such a simple touch, but it'll get the job done. When you have those open nets, you have to stay efficient. We've seen earlier in the series how vital every single goal is. Game 1, it was decided by 1 goal in a high scorer. We saw a game where only 1 goal was scored altogether. And this wouldn't just be a golden goal for this team, it'd be platinum in this series. The grand final secured, just 3 minutes to hold or increase.
Got pressure here once more down on the blue side as that paper looks to try and clear it and go the opposite way, but Light of the World meets him right at the midfield line. Trixcoli there in the corner, looks for the second touch to set up Chris, but the defense too good this time around from the Crusaders. But one thing that we have seen so often from the Rams is the ability to keep that pressure at the midfield line. It's Coley this time, picks the pocket, takes it the other way, and doubles down the lead.
It's that ground game yet again. And there is a defensive portion of it as well. Knew the exact time, but he had to go for that challenge. Waited for the ball to be on top of his calf, for him to just hide behind that blind spot from the perspective of the possession player. And that's when he strikes. That's when he takes it for himself. Angles himself perfectly to read the shots. But hold on, Little C goes for one of his own. 2 players commit high. And now Little C, with no boost left of the tank, forced to leave away that big one, is sent all the way back towards his own goal line. The dribble has to be good, but again, it's that worrying second man commit that's just going to leave them low on resources.
Gotta find this first goal, it feels like, probably within this next minute. Last thing you want to do is go into a backs against the wall scenario. Final minute, need more than 1, especially with the ability that the Rams have shown to be able to continue to add to their tally. Light of the World will send it forward. It's not towards the net, but it will at least continue to bury away some time, because at this point, every touch that sends it deep into the blue half, 5, 7, 11 seconds, is precious time that dwindles away.
Absolutely, and it must get more and more desperate, but in those moments of desperation, you still have to find some organization between the 3 players, and some teams crumble into chaos. This team, though, positioned perfectly in second, allows Little C to chase, and this is what we have been looking for. So fast with that ball, no time left to recover. That's how you punish.
Trixcoli, you're third. You shouldn't be creeping there, buddy. And it ends up getting punished on the opposite side. The good news is you do still have the lead. Can you hold the line for the final 90? Everyone was forward, but that press forward from Zesty Pickle Nugget won't allow for them to punish the fact that they might have gotten caught just a little too far forward. Little C on the side wall is passing it to the middle. That paper has some space. Can you find a second? Oh, it's off of the post.
Oh, that's brutal. More chances fly away, but it's still in the center. This time it's a counter for Palm Beach. Goal 3 would surely secure, but Zesty Pickle Nugget gives them another hope. Paper back into the center. It's not an inspiring strike. That 50, though, leaves a lot more to be desired. And you've got to make sure to save your Benjamins if you want to play Franklin to that next round, although the boost now is there for Little C. But no one there in the center. Chris will take it for himself, and he'll take his time as well. 30 seconds left on the clock.
You hold the line. If you are the Palm Beach Lakes Community High School Rams, 1 goal is all it takes to send things off to the overtime for the Crusaders. Light of the World looks to exit out of their half. It's denied. Trixcoli will be able to find it there. It's 15 seconds left. You probably only get 1 more crack at it for the Crusaders. It's a carry across, but it's Collie with the save.
Needs to score a goal in these 5 seconds, but it's in the wrong half of the pitch. The series might just end here. We might find our final team to get themselves into the grand finals. Coley has to make that defense. The 50 will get the job done. Palm Beach return to the upper stage.
Oh, man, they were able to really bounce back after what was quite a tough game number 2, right over on that Palm Beach side. And again, we talked about what really you were hoping to do here as the Rams coming into the lower bracket, try to return to that form that we had seen yesterday on stream. And I mean, score line tells me that they're pretty well right there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was the type of series they needed. I, to an extent, don't want to see them just dominate that match. I don't want that to be too one-sided because they are going to be challenged in this grand final, the same they were in that upper finals. So you want to see them build the mental fortitude here in this lower final to be able to shift themselves up those few extra gears to take on a challenge. And they got exactly that from Stepinac. They should be thanking Stepinac after that series for the fights that they gave them because it was to the final seconds every single game bar one. But that 3-1 just seems to be the boogie results for Stepinac against the Rams.
Stepinac, I think, also showed an ability to press the net at times, which is something that the defense is going to need to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's in this next
Hmm.
matchup because we know that the squad that's waiting for them in that grand finals, well, they came with quite the noise as far as in that upper bracket finals over on that Franklin Panthers side. But we keep talking about the grand finals. How about we set the stage for that thing? We've been doing best of fives through things over the weekend. We're now going to have a best of seven on the other side of this break. We're going to give our players a couple of moments here to grab themselves a drink. Maybe you guys should do the same. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Maybe grab yourself a schnickety snack. But over on the other side of this break, we'll be crowning ourselves a champion for our Rocket League of the EGF National Champions right after this.
This is the moment. This is what the entire season was leading up to. One best of seven. No weighted advantage, no bracket reset. It is a one and done to take the full championship. And it is, of course, a rematch of that upper finals. It is Palm Beach taking on the Panthers.
We have had a rematch in the lower finals. We now have a rematch in the upper bracket, or sorry, in the grand finals here as well. And, you know, one thing that we were kind of concerned about when we saw the upper bracket finals between these two squads, and we'll get that fixed underneath my face here in just a moment. It's not Stepinac. It is indeed Benjamin Franklin High School playing up against Palm Beach Lakes Community High School. But the Panthers, they just were able to come out and show up and show out against the Rams. And the Rams just seemed very flat. It looks like they were able to get their feet underneath them a little bit in that lower bracket final. But I do still feel like despite the fact that this is a now best of 7 as instead of a best of 5, this first game is still as important as ever.
And there is experience on this side of the Panthers as well when it comes to grand finals. Actually, back in February, we found out, Q, during the break that they had played in the Stay Plugged In Carry 2 College Spring Break 2026 grand finals, where it was this very same roster of your boy Coop, PCO, and Xing against Dino Timing and M80's very own Life. Unfortunately, M80 Life and Co were a bit too much in that grand finals, but now they'll definitely be fancying themselves as that upper bracket qualifying team to take gold this time.
Sure, they know what it's like to get this close to just be able to fall a little shy of that hardware. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, it's one thing to make the podium, but you talked about it. This today is a culmination of a whole semester's worth of work. So surely for this Benjamin Franklin Panthers squad, they know exactly what is on the line. So when we do look across on the other side, again, for this Palm Beach Lakes Community High School, I mean, they are a team that did find some success yesterday. You took down the number 1 seed that was ranked going into this tournament. You did it again just now. My question is for you, do you feel like that's enough to regain on the mental?
Well, it's got to mean something. It has got to mean something. It was so recent, and we were speaking about before, weren't we? You know, the advantage of having the break compared to having the momentum heading into that next series. In this case, it's actually looking a lot brighter for Palm Beach to be playing 2 off the trot, because now
Yep.
they have gotten themselves that win. They managed to fight against Stepinac as well. They didn't destroy them. They were given just the right amount of challenge they need to give them that confidence boost heading into this grand finals. But this is going to be a Franklin side that has that chip on their shoulder. They've had a taste for these grand finals at the scholastic and collegiate level, actually, with some of those opponents that were there. And now is the time to actually be able to claim that top spot. This is going to mean the world to them for this national championship.
I'm kind of curious because of the way that the venue's going on. Surely they had PCs to at least at minimum get into free play, but I'm curious while that lower
Mm.
bracket final was going on, was free play all that they were really able to get going as far as, being able to stay warm? Because it's one thing to get around and just simply be hitting the ball out on the pitch versus actually getting quality reps against an opponent. So hopefully they were able to find somebody else within the facility to be able to scrimmage to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's, because momentum can be a dangerous thing. As much as we did see this Benjamin Franklin squad be able to dominate in that upper bracket final, I feel like we've seen it throughout time in esports, not just within Rocket League, but you can think of a lot of titles where a team comes in the back from that lower bracket finals. It's that thought of redemption that allows for them to almost kick it into that second, third gear above from where they played before and really take over.
But you look at this, there has been weeks and weeks of league play. Only the top 5 could make it to nationals to play at LAN here in Texas. And of those top 5, it is Seed 3 versus Seed 4 to face in the grand finals. The best of 5 format is thrown away for the first time in this competition. It is Rocket League, as the Rocket League Lords intended. One final best of 7 to take the marbles, and your boy Coop gets us started in seconds.
What a play. 5 seconds is all it takes. And again, that is indeed over on the blue side of the pitch. That's Benjamin Franklin High School, the Panthers. We'll get that fixed away on your screens as soon as possible. But they're coming in here with that same sort of pace that they had in that upper bracket finals. They're not taking long to get back to their winning ways.
Coop, back in possession, already has a goal to the name, and you speak about having time to buy your way into a series. You mentioned earlier in the day when it was a best of 5 format, you have about 90 seconds. And give a team a game in a best of 7 format, although you definitely feel like the real importance of this opener is on the side of Palm Beach, who are still yet to take a victory away from this Benjamin Franklin side. So for the moment, Still denied of a single shot. That being said, it's only been one shot on the side of Franklin.
One shot, one goal. Efficiency has been shown, at least from the little bit that we've been able to witness thus far. Here's Sink, settles a pass, Coop's back in the middle, but it is Trixcali who is able to deny the first look. Trixcali was really able to lead the charge for this Rams squad on both sides of the ball in that lower bracket final. PCO looks to settle this one down, but Light of the World's there, and it's a demo on the backside of the play that maybe creates some space for them to be able to find a clear here.
Light of the World doesn't get that touch, and instead it's going to be Cube with the reset, keeps it low. And it was a low-driven shot, plenty of power behind it. Trixcali still manages to get there in time for the save. PCO's not going to be able to get that touch. Light of the World needs to find a teammate, and this is not what you want to see in defense. You don't want to just boom it away. Those moments where you have possession, keep the ball close and play it into space, because you've got opponents with experience and they're happy to play into that. The read not quite there for Coop, but instead reset by Xink.
Well, the good news for you so far, if you are a fan of this Rams squad, is it feels like the defense has at least been able to defang the Panthers at least a little bit. There's a wide open net the opposite way. If you can find it in transition, it's Trixcali who's able to fake out PCO. Slips it right up underneath, and we're tied up at 1.
And this is the time where moves like this are so effective. It's overtime in the lower finals. It's any time in the grand finals. Heartbeats pumping, mind is racing. And those little moments of hesitation are really going to throw you off guard.
Oh, that swing and a miss. That does give the Panthers now a chance to go the opposite way. Sink settles it up. It's a pass off the backboard. Left for Coop. But it will be Trixcali who shuts that one down. Crisp, unable to pick it up off of the 50 there, but it will be Trix deep inside of their corner. And it feels like right now the Panthers slowly walking this thing down the field. A kablamo from Light of the World will take out Sink, but they're still struggling to find a clear.
Sink with a full tank of boost. The backboard's read as well. Light of the World has no boost of a tank, but still manages to keep it out for the time being, but there is still blue possession. A player inside. Coop to Sink. We've been waiting for this duo to link up. A majority of their goals coming from a combo of some sort between these two players. If you thought that was going to be absent in the grand finals, you were very much mistaken.
Back in the driver's seat, 7 shots it's taken to be able to find 2 goals. The defense doing a good job of holding the line, but it's still going to be about the offense being able to pump up the volume just a little bit. Thus far, over from that Palm Beach Lakeside, they've only been able to find the 1 shot. Granted, it's found the nets, but you got to find a way to continue to find a way to pressure it.
Crisp off that corner. This could be a highlight read if they landed it. Instead, Trixcali, even off the back of a bump, is able to just muscle their way through to the corner. Still keeps the ball close, and second and third men have been given time to pick up that boost of a tank as well. That still maintains that aggression, even if the ball temporarily falls out of their first touch. Light of the World steals it away from his teammate, and actually was the higher percentage play to do so. There is some cooperation in this offense, but they've just been siphoned off to the corner in every single opportunity, and we know it's the center where there's all the danger which has been cleared quick by Coop.
It's cleared, but it's quickly back into the blue side here. Trixcali is able to find a demo in the back of the net. It gets synced into their corner here, but Xink is going to be the one that's able to pick it up and go the opposite way. Takes out one of the defenders, and it's Coop high in the sky. Second touch off of the backboard. Tries to settle it down to be able to pick it up for a pass, but to no avail. PCO, however, keeps the pressure onto the orange half. Trixcali steps forward and is now going to go the opposite way.
Still within 1. Still such a sensitive scoreline. 1 shot, 1 moment could make the difference, but that one is sent too high. Every single touch has to count now for Palm Beach. 15 seconds left to go. Light of the world with the catch. Lets this one drop. Has to play for the 50. The follow-up play is vital. Trix Coley is there, but more touches are going to be called for. PCO bells away for Coop. The calls are great, but Trix Coley still prevents it from touching the ground. It's game over if it does. Still manages to get it off that curve, but now in the wrong half of the pitch, the task has gotten even tougher. And there it is, Benjamin Franklin taking their first game of the grand finals. But Q, that is not all negatives for Palm Beach.
No, honestly, this is best case scenario. When you look at how things unraveled so quickly up in that winners bracket finals, this is really, we couldn't have expected really it to go much better than this. Yeah, like maybe you could have asked for more pressure onto the BAFHS net. You were only able to find 2 shots, but one, you limit the opposition to just 7 shots. I feel like we were constantly talking about how close that tally was getting up towards 20 in that upper bracket final. Now you just have to bring in the reins just a little bit more. And we did mention it's a longer series in this grand final, so you do have time.
You really do. And when you've already kept the game so close in the first, you don't
Right.
have much more to build off of. You're already in reach. It's going to be those fine adjustments that make all the difference, whether it is just one extra save made or just one extra shot on target, one more demo on the back line. These are going to be the deciding factors now if it maintains this closeness that we saw in game 1. Game 2 is underway now, and we can see if those theories can be put to the test to truth.
Yeah, I think this game number 2 will tell us everything about this series. It doesn't take long for Benjamin Franklin yet again to strike first, and it's sink to Coop to be able to start things off 6 seconds. But what I was going to say, for a Palm Beach Lakes Community High School squad that was able to keep things at least close in game number 1, I think what's most important is making sure that you're at least within striking distance here, because if things get unraveled quickly the way they did in that upper bracket final, I am so worried about what the mental looks like.
Yeah, especially because it was an early goal that decided that last game. Of course, a 1-goal difference. It was Coop before scoring, I believe it was in only 3 seconds. This time, he scored 2 in 23. That will definitely help them in the build-up. But now, with that focus back onto Palm Beach and how they're able to respond, what was a game that was always within 1 for the opener now becomes a lot more of a frightening affair. More work to be done than perhaps we gave credit for.
Sink, coast to coast, maybe. Oh, only has Crisp to beat. It's high. Coop looks to settle it down, and sets the shot, looks to settle a shot, but it gets sent aside, and now it's Palm Beach Lakes on the counterattack. Unfortunately, they can't keep the possession. It feels like that's one place, at least right now, that the Rams do tend to struggle, quickly giving that possession back to the Panthers. And this time around in game number 2, they're really seeming to find their mark. They have been able to find 3 goals in the opening minute.
There's one play you really don't want to concede possession to either, and it is Coop. That's 3 shots, 3 goals. That efficiency from that upper finals that I believe you commented on a few occasions. Returns here, even with the grandest of pressure behind him. And it's been a lot of these tight plays that have managed to fall further in his favour. Now he's out of this play for the time being. The rotations are fast already. We'll fall back to this spot, the double tap. Not even going to get past that near post. So that has to try and find a teammate inside. The third man's pressed so high. And you do get desperate when you're 3 goals down. But it's a tougher call to make when you've got so much time left.
Bum, bum, ba-dum. Unfortunate there. All you can do is sit there and look at it. You mentioned that third player pressed so far forward, a big booming touch, and since it is right on net, it finds the back of it. 90 seconds in, and it's a 4-goal lead. Remember last time around in the upper bracket final, this was a squad that was able to hit that double-digit mark multiple times, and surely knowing that a win in this series here, it results in a trophy, they're going to look to try and turn it up.
Oh, this is a great touch from Sink. The dribble, though, doesn't make its way past Crisp. Coop wanted to keep it close for themselves. Avap did well. just to take this ball across, wing to wing, safety to safety, within possession of a teammate as well, though two players pressing highly into an offensive corner. That's not what you want to see. That's give and sink, that time and space and averts. But still, not landing the touch he would like. PCO almost making a miracle pre-jump play come to life. Instead, it's a ball off the back wall, a race against time for Coop. But he has always been ahead of the mark.
And try and pull off that give and go sort of play with your teammate already in the sky. It just shows the confidence right now that these Panthers are playing with. And why not? At this point, you've won 4 straight. And while, yeah, game number 1 in this series was relatively close, game number 2 is already starting to show shades of that upper bracket finals. A pass to Coop. Coop looks to bang it home, but Trix Colley is there. That finds it clear, but it's PCO who will be able to pick it up off of their backboard. And I thought that was going to be a team play that finds its success breaking the pressure. Coop up to Sink. Give and go. They must be butter because they're on a roll. That's now 5 in 3 minutes here for the Panthers.
And they've played together tournament by tournament, found so much success. And that's not going to come to an end anytime soon. This is scholastic success for these 3 players. There is no doubt in my mind that there is a collegiate future for this trio. Still only the 2nd game of the grand finals, and they do draw their first blood of the 2nd game.
At least going to be able to pop the top off the defense, and with 2 minutes left, I mean, a goal every 30 seconds, it's doable. But you are going to need to make sure that you can hold the line, and that's the tough part because it feels like momentum is firmly on Benjamin Franklin's side. Sink with a pass to Coop. Bang! That one finds the back of the net.
Surely not a 3rd trip. Surely not a 3rd queue. That's too greedy. We already had it twice in the upper finals. Is it even the time of year? Is Brazil even in season? 100 seconds, and I'm sure we'll find out.
Nice flip up off the backboard. Sink's already up. Can that find its mark? It's, a bouncer between 2. But it's off of the post. Coop's there to slow down this counter attack. And Coop able to pass it right back to the middle. PCO will send it forward, which will now allow for the Panthers to go for another chance for Brazil.
Sink. Off the waterfall, straight down to Coop. It was the perfect touch, but Evap had the perfect defense, and I've always said that I think Rocket League is a defensive-sided game. You play perfectly there, you should be able to survive. Coop. With a pass in, Sink can't reach it. And now PCO, left on his lonesome, had space in the vertical plane. Instead, just booms this ball forward, tries to force a heavy touch for another teammate to pounce on. That teammate being Coop is always intimidating. Sink is certainly not a bad second option. But all they need to do is run down this clock regardless. 45 seconds, 5 goals required. There are miracles, and then there's divine intervention. Ball across, that one won't be on.
Coop just tries to sneak that one into the corner, expecting the defenders to be anticipating a pass, but they're able to read it. Trix Colley able to pinch up under 1, tries to take it the opposite way, but Coop just a little bit quicker, picks the pocket, pass to Sink, and this is your final boarding call. We're off to Brazil in game number 2.
And it felt like this was almost guaranteed. This is never a team to slow down. And of course, in the final 45 seconds, they tried to do it in style. I would say that definitely has lived up to exactly what they were looking for. Your boy Kufo, maybe more for the 8th. Flip reset, doesn't land it. Still close enough to the play. Sink was a bit too high. Coley to Evap. They could take a second out of this just to pick up a little bit of confidence in such a demoralizing game so far. But Sink stopped by Coley. That is going to be the second game over. It's a lot more convincing. It is a lot more familiar here for Benjamin Franklin.
It's like deja vu all over again. Beat down here in game number 2. 17 shots for the Panthers as opposed to 1 on the opposite side of the field. Right now, you got to find a way to not just be able to find possession here if you're Palm Beach Slates Community High School. You've got to find some way somehow to start putting shots on net. And Yeah, you know me, Pegasus. I'm a big fan of the
Yeah.
Kabluis, the Kablamos, and Whammos. That's the first place that I am always going to go. The problem, though, is Benjamin Franklin is shown to be so lethal in the counterattack. If you leave that back end open, they're going to punish it.
They really are, and this was a part of the game that was missing for me, sorry, in that second game compared to the first, was just that bit of confidence, and you understand why it would be tainted, especially with two really early concessions and you really trying your heart out and having that first game still not fall in your favor. But defensively, I'm seeing so many panicky clearances out, and all that is doing is giving possession straight back to Benjamin Franklin. You have to take that moment to get the soft touch, play it into that little bit of space, and the counterattacks are going to come, but a first goal certainly would have helped Q. It's not going to happen. Instead, Xing, backflip, reset. That's the goal of the tournament.
That is insane. It's 3 shots that are wide on the opposite side, and then Sync goes absolutely crazy, folks, coast to coast. Put that thing on a highlight reel, and that could very well be the beginning of the end for the Rams.
Unbelievable. And you saw he had space. You knew he could do whatever he wanted. But just the audacity to attempt that in a grand finals. Whatever mental warfare that Palm Beach had to face, that is really going to drop an atomic strike onto it.
Already found the 1 goal, and while you haven't necessarily found a second, it does feel like there's a little, almost like a downtrodden feel on that orange half of the pitch. They're caught back. Every time they enter into the blue side, it's almost like they expect 1 or 2 touches, and that to be it. Light of the World has a chance at it, but PCO is going to be able to find a save. Xsync is freestyle to be able to find 1 thus far in game 3. Let's see what they can do in transition here as past Trixcali, more of a slow roller in the corner, but eventually loses the handle.
And it's Coop again. As Xsync in that rule 1, they will fancy themselves in this 2v2. Trixcali, though, might have just proven maybe it's not freeze where their forte is. The fake play. Almost sneaking in that equalizer, but just in the nick of time. The defense is there in place. There is going to be some traffic cones at that front post. They try and move themselves out of the way while still getting involved in the play and breaking the first rule of Rocket League. The Coop, though, has to prepare himself in this half turn. Curly will take it high, and I'm actually liking how this 2v2 is unfolding.
I always love to see when you get a little bit more space, especially at this level, and players of these calibers, you get to see a little bit more creativity. Coop does unfortunately lose the handle here. Will regather it. Takes it off to the sky, left off of the backboard. I thought PCO had a chance at it there, but plays a little passive, and I like that idea. Realized that they were open to a counterattack. Had they left it off, however, there's a chance here. But with the 2v2, for maybe Palm Beach to be able to find one. Unfortunately, the Rams can't capitalize.
Coop leaves this one away for Light of the World, and I'll just be happy to let this clock go down. I mean, this was supposed to be a 3v3 tournament for the grand finals. It's like it might have a portion of it decided by a very extended 2v2. PCO keeps it close, and it's scary to play a 2v2 against a team that has so much mechanical excellence, because they have so much more space. And what I said comes to light immediately, because Coop, as soon as he gets a reset in the final third, the goal was guaranteed.
Coop adds to the lead over on that Benjamin Franklin side. Now it doesn't just take one mistake, one errant goal for the Rams to be able to tie things up. It is Sync, though, popping it up for Coop. Back to Sync, but it's Trixcali who jumps the passing lane, denies the first look. Kablamo says Coop, crisp, picks it back up, and that finds the back of the net. That will take the lead and cut it in half.
The 2v2 vote does come to an end unless the players decide to do a GA. Is back to that 3v3. They'll be happy that they picked up that goal in due time. And now momentum to turn It should be as good as your last goal. Kupai, crisp. 50's it back to light of the world. This is the chance they're looking for. They've got to be quick because there is a demo looming. Could hear the explosions behind them. Crisp doesn't have time to go for that 100 boost, but the 50 is just enough. Coop's read, though, is even better. Back to that double lead again.
The dynamic duo back at it. Sync with a big 50, leaves it off of the backboard. Coop is able to rise up in time, and that one there re-extends the lead back to 2. And this is kind of similar of shades of game 1. Closer, sure. Can Crisp find a way to leave it within 1? No, it is PCO with 2 big saves. Now Coop off of the counter attack. That shot just a tad high.
Light of the World doesn't get that touch either, and what that's going to do is waste a lot of boost, which is so important to keep up in defense. Otherwise, you're outspared. You lose the entire area above that crossbar, and PCO and Sync are experienced enough to recognize this. It's a simple doink up high, and while the aerial game has already been so dominant by the Jags so far, and that is a play that is definitely going to feel the sharpness of their claws.
Sees an open net, just can't get enough oomph behind that one. We'll at least bury the ball deep into the orange half, as now at this point, you're just simply hoping to dwindle away these last 50 seconds. And because of the dominance you've been able to display out here on the pitch in the grand finals, barring any sort of a miracle in these final 40 seconds from the Rams, although, hold on, let me save that point for a moment. Crisp is going to punch this one home, and 2 goals in 40 seconds seems a lot more doable than 3 in 50.
Lots better position, though. This is what I've been calling for. Just keeping that ball within the space of a teammate, not just booming it and not considering the quality of those touches. As soon as they have thought behind it, they have the skill on the ball to turn this game around. 30 seconds, the time all against them, and definitely going to be a guard high Benjamin team as well. There is going to be struggles with 10 seconds already gone of that 30.
At this point, you need to be able to find a way to punch one in here without allowing this one to clear, and I just don't know if the Rams are going to be able to seize the possession. Chris picks it up, but it's not right towards the net, and the math just ain't mathing to me. You might have gotten it close, but close ain't gonna cut it in this racket. That is now 3 straight wins here for Benjamin Franklin. They're gonna put themselves not only on series point, but grand finals championship point, and they're gonna get 4 cracks at it.
This is the best case scenario for them. There is no question about that, especially with the way that game went for them. Sure, Palm Beach got themselves those 2 goals. There were times where it was within 1, but you never really lost sight that that was going to be a Benjamin Franklin victory. The responses felt like they were a little bit too late into that game, and Benjamin Franklin had so much offensive pressure still. It never was as if the needle was falling to their opponent's side. It was just starting to get a little bit closer to that center. Advantage always there.
Fell too far behind, and every time you almost climbed out of the hole, it was like you just lost just enough footing to just fall right back to that same point. It's going to be important, fresh out of the gates here, for Palm Beach Lakes to make sure that they strike first. And I know we make that sound easy up here in the booth, but we have seen the Panthers been jumping all over the Rams in every single one of these games relatively early. I was concerned after game number 2 because we did see the Panthers bust things completely wide open. But if there is one thing that we know, is that the Rams have shown they are not going to give up until that final whistle blows. Let's go ahead and run those scores back to 0. Let's put 5 minutes on the clock here, Pig. Let's get down and do what it do.
Every single game with a potential to be the last, not of the series, of the season, and of the championships. The ball in the court of the Panthers, and you can see why. It's another opening strike.
Coop opening things up, and honestly, give it up to PCO. Does a great job of rounding the corner. Not only do you deprive the opposition of resources, you'll set that one up on a silver platter. And we talked about the ability of the Panthers to strike first. They did that there. The question is, can they also continue to strike often?
back across to Crisp. I don't want to see some of that late game Palm Beach in this fourth like we saw in the third. That's when they were starting to fight back. You could feel that if it had started from the very beginning, there were definitely games that could have been stolen away. This is a really risky dribble across net. Still, Coop gets that into the corner. The pinch is so good, though. And the post is hit. You can't get the ball on top of your car in front of net. The risk is too high. And, well, the assessment was a lot stronger on the side of Benjamin Franklin's. The Panthers get 2 in the first 45 seconds. And it is a very, very reminiscent spot.
Gotta find a way to punch across here relatively quickly if you're the Rams. You cannot let things get out of control in a similar fashion to the way they did in game number 2. Coop up to X-Sync, and that one just happens to be in. It is now yet again 3 goals in the opening minute of play, and they just seem ready to run it up on that BFHS side of the pitch.
So tough because all 3 players were, I'd actually say, really well positioned. But it was that first miss and then the 3 opponents connecting with pure perfection that led to that goal. There's no other team that would score with such efficiency in this tournament, and it's why they're here in the grand finals. It's why they're potentially here sweeping it as well. Truly earning that title of the best team in the EGFH Nationals.
They have looked dominant here and continuing to keep the pedal down, trying to turn this game number 4 into nothing short of a victory lap. It's X-Sync trying to get fancy with it. Looks to put it under Light of the World. Won't be able to find it there. Wraps around in the corner, looking to settle down a pass. Coop was there, but Light of the World is able to find the clear.
Trix Coley got that beat. Might have just had a chance on net. Instead, X-Sync with a perfect first touch, and we've seen so many highlight reel plays. This time it's stopped by Trix Coley. That one is denied by the woodwork. And spaces opened up by that demo from PCO. Trix has to go on his lonesome. He's left the net completely open, but a read isn't going to make it between the sticks. Save comes out, and now it is with all 3 defenders behind the ball that Palm Beach have to be.
That last possession for the Rams, those are the types of goals that you need to score in a game like this. You're not going to get too many open looks at the net, and unfortunately, that one you walk away empty-handed. We are halfway through this game number 4, and while you are still within reach if you're Palm Beach Lakes, you're still looking to try and find your first goal. You're still looking for just your second shot as the defense has really come to play for the Panthers.
Coop is going to chase this one, ignores the boost, instead just focuses on getting that ball in the box. But Crisp read that one well. Still within 3. This is still within miracle range with that time left. Light of the World is forced to make that flip. Didn't know whether that one was on target. This time, the fortunes were in their favor, but they're going to need more.
Touch there to send it towards the net. Can't quite find its angle. Coop with a big gas tank here. Looks for the pinch. It's up and over one off of the bounce. Coop was looking for the bump onto Collie. Just couldn't quite find it. X-Sync takes to the sky. Has all sorts of gas to work with. The flip and tries to settle it over Collie, but will be denied.
Light of the World on the half turn. Lays it off to Crisp. Has to chase this one. The 50 must be good, but a second man has to be perfect as well. There's not a single area where you can afford to make a play that doesn't land in your favor, because at any single break of perfection, you just know that this Benjamin team is going to be able to punish from any position. X-Sync, just a little bit of boost. The flip preset is high. The read is a lot more confident from Palm Beach. It's a side I haven't seen in quite some time, but what is familiar is Sync making it 4, and of course Benjamin continuing what has been a terrorizing run.
X-Sync, more like in-sync, telling the Palm Beach squad bye, 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 with a 4th goal here with just a minute and 2 seconds left to play. Can you find a pinch off of the kickoff? They almost do, but with the fact that they've been able to continue to hold the line, you would need to allow a goal essentially every 12 seconds, which I just don't think is going to happen. This last minute is all but just one last chance for this Franklin squad to be able to strut their stuff.
40 seconds now. And this is a team that hasn't lost a single game throughout the entirety of this LAN tournament. And they have proven themselves so much more than what their seeding would say. They are battering the Rams. It's 5 goals now to the good, and 28 seconds at this point. It feels like a victory lap. Their medals are getting ready.
And much deserved for this Benjamin Franklin squad. They have come in with class. While you could say and definitely see by the eye test a mechanical team, not a squad that is just solely reliant on their individual mechanics. We've seen plenty of good team plays. We've been seeing some highlight passing opportunities, but also sometimes it's just them being different. Being on display here on the replay, it's Coop who just picks it up, has 2 defenders step to the plate, neither can get a touch, and it's now 6-0.
And whilst there is the weight of pressure on the backs of one, there's going to be the weight of gold on the necks of the other. 10 final seconds, 5 seconds on the pitch to celebrate all that they have done. It has been a long road. It has been multiple weeks leading to their trip to Texas, but it's going to be one with the fondest of memories. Benjamin Franklin High School are your national champions.
They looked so dominant along the way. You mentioned not dropping a single game over the weekend. Things might be bigger in Texas. Apparently the Brooms are as well, because they looked really, really good. And again, I think the big thing for me was to continue to just see the class from them from the start of the day all the way until the end. Built differently, sure, but getting everyone involved and also having some fun out on the pitch as well.
Absolutely. And Palm Beach, what an excellent team they have been as well. We've actually covered every single series they have played, Q. There hasn't been a single series on this channel that has not featured Palm Beach. They had to start from an extra point as well, being the 4th and 5th seed. All of the other teams get a bit of a bye in that upper bracket. They got themselves into that upper finals, and they proved that they definitely were the second best team. There is only one team that stands above them, and that is, of course, the champions.
And they deserve that championship for sure. But hopefully the Palm Beach Lakes Community High School squad don't hang their heads too low, because you mentioned we've seen a lot of success from this squad, and sometimes that's just the way it is, man. There's always going to be a bigger fish swimming where you're swimming. It's just a matter of whether or not you're going to end up crossing their paths. But man, a weekend of not only Rocket League done and dusted, but I think we're just about wrapped up with all of our titles there on scene as well here in San Antonio. I know you and I, we work quite a bit of the scholastic scene, and again, this is really what it's all about. It's a culmination of a whole semester's work. Big congratulations to all of our champions, not just Benjamin Franklin here for Rocket League, but across all of our titles here, Pig.
So much experience for these players at such a young age. That's what this is truly about. It's not very common that where you have establishments where you can, play a multi-week league play, and especially have that all finished with a LAN, with a broadcast behind it. So, of course, thank you to EGF for making this all possible as well. And a huge congratulations to all of the players that were involved at this national stage, because there is going to be a future for them. I know this is something that I would like to see a bit more common back home for me at EU, but it's great to know that some places over here in North America are doing it right. But ladies and gentlemen, those are your champions crown. That was myself, Sir Pegasus, alongside Q, with Cherry as well on for production. It has been an absolute pleasure to cover this championship weekend. And until the next time, make sure you follow with notifications on. We'll see you all next time.